Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Tam McManus is with me. No Ruffy today. I think it's not as if he's going for golf. He's somewhere, but we're not quite sure where. Had a wee day off. He has more than a few that he has as per the terms of his contract, but Tam doesn't have that type of thing in his contract. He's available 24/7. And Tam, here we are, the new studio. You've got to be happy with this. We just keep moving.
Yep, tremendous. I noticed it as soon as I came in, as you know. Always cracking, and the new graphic on the TVs and that as well. So, brilliant setup.
The more the merrier. We move on, getting bigger and better, and hopefully with you hitting the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, you can join the football family and, of course, enjoy our banter. Of course, it's uncensored, unbiased, and, of course, it's unmatched. 7 days a week. We've got breaking football news, we've got unique video content, we've got the football show Monday to Friday, and Tam and I will join you tomorrow 4 till 6 to bring you the half-time and full-time scores from across the Scottish Cup, because that's really the focus of our attention over the weekend on this show. So with that in mind, before we get into the meat and bones of it, let's give you first of all the quiz question, which with Aberdeen, the entire team from 1983 celebrating their 40th anniversary this year, the entire team is going to be honoured by the city of Aberdeen. They're going to be given the freedom of the city, which I think is a wonderful tribute to a team that will never be forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for the current crop, isn't it? When you see all those legends lined up all over the walls in Pittodrie, and you walk in the door, you know, it's steeped in history, and that team, you're right, never be forgotten. I don't think it'll ever be repeated, Aberdeen winning a European trophy, so those guys are going to be legends forever and a day, 40 years, and some of them still look okay.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right.
Big game than now, Aberdeen.
I'm not sure. The sad thing is, Tam, I'm not sure one person from the current team would get even on the bench of Fergie's team from 1983, and that's the question. Which team did Aberdeen beat in the semi-final of the European Cup Winners' Cup in 1983? Everybody talks about some of the earlier rounds where there were major scalps, but the semi-final is a tough one. If you think you know the answer, then by all means, put it in the feed. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. The good thing about the programme all the way through to the summer is we are offering you some fantastic prizes. Now, all I'm going to say to you is that the next couple of prizes we've got after this competition are absolute belters. I got delivery of this morning, Tam, and all I'm saying to you is in 2 weeks' time, I think people are going to go absolutely mental for the prize that's just been delivered. We will tease you with that, but for now, you still have time to win this week's prize.
This is your chance to win one of these fantastic books that looks back at the classic shirts throughout both clubs' history. You can read about your favourite shirt and your favourite season as a Celtic or Rangers supporter. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is tell us which book you would like to win in the comment section below. And to double your chances of winning, hit the subscribe button and join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with the competition. Thanks to so many of you who are joining us, and quite a lot of people are commenting. Thanks to Bob White, who says hello from a freezing cold Doha. It's 16 degrees here. I'd be happy with 16 degrees. Would you, Tam?
Oh, jeez.
I'd be more than happy with that.
Golfing in that?
Yeah, I'd be golfing in it. Brilliant. So thank you to so many of you who join us on a regular basis, and thank you to so many of you for hitting the subscribe button as well. We've got the competition. We'll give you the quiz at the end, and let's not forget also on our YouTube channel, with regards to those books, Kerry caught up with Paul John Dykes, who spent 7 years putting that Celtic book together, and there's a lovely interview on our YouTube channel with Paul John Dykes talking about how difficult it is to put that whole book together, and the memories, and of course the classic strips as well. So, and I think David Graham also put the Rangers book together, and they're meticulous in their research and of course getting the pictures together. It's a great book. The two of them are great books.
Yeah, I think you've got to be, because if you miss a strip out, somebody will clock it.
Yeah.
So you've got to be meticulous. Every strip's got to be documented in the books, and I had a little read through the two books that you're giving away, and some cracking strips in there and some shockers for both teams. So it's great for people to look back when they were a kid, did they have this strip and that strip, and No, they're two really interesting books.
Yeah. 13 degrees, 18 degrees in Saudi Arabia, says Mo, and Ian says 13 degrees in Bonnie, Aberdeen at the moment. And I have to say, Tam, when we mentioned there about the quiz question in Aberdeen, I'm really looking forward to it, because I'm going up to do a double whammy up there in those two Gothenburg nights. I'm so excited about it. Well, we're having a chat about it today, and I'm really looking forward to it, if only for sometimes in this job, in the last 30 odd years, the joy of it all is if you meet people who suddenly become your friends, that you had nights out with, you've gone on holiday with a few of them, and some of that Aberdeen team have been really good pals. So it's going to be one of those nights where I'm really going to enjoy it, and I think a lot of the Aberdeen fans up there at the Marcliffe on the 11th of May, and then there's a big one in November as well, they will enjoy it, because it's 40 years, Tammy. You know what it's like sometimes. I mean, the saddest moment is not having Neil Cooper there.
Yeah, that is sad. He was obviously a big part of it as well. But as I said, those guys are absolute legends for Aberdeen. They'll never be forgotten. The fans still hold them in massive regard. That'll never be repeated. Aberdeen winning a European trophy. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Big Brian Gunn, who was at Hibs with me. I remember him giving him a lift to training a couple of times.
Funny guy,
good guy, cracking guy. And obviously I know Alec McLeish gave me my debut at Hibs, and I owe him a lot as well. So. No, I think that will be two great nights for any Aberdeen fan. Was
Alec a serious manager with you, or was he the wind-up merchant that I know?
He was very serious.
Was he?
He was. I can remember, he was screaming ball at you, and you didn't seem to pick the teams in training. You would dread to bin his team. If you missed a chance, he would absolutely slaughter you.
Yeah.
And then he always used to say, "Listen, if you can't handle me shouting at you, how are you going to handle 10,000 Hibs fans shouting at you?" Which it's always stuck with me, and he was right, and it was all part of a character building and toughing you up and getting you ready for first team football. Yogi Hughes was there, Pat McGinley was the moaniest guy I've ever came across, and if you're in the guys' team, Big Yogi and all that, you had to produce, or else you're getting slaughtered. So it made you ready for first team football at Hibs.
Yeah, no surprise actually when you mentioned that. There's so many of them went on to have a career in management. But when you talked about being able to handle things, this was the team that he played in that defeated Real Madrid. Leighton, Cooper, McLeish, Miller and Rugby, McMaster, Simpson, Strachan, Black, Hewitt and McGee, with Peter Weir as the substitute. What a team that is.
I'm forgetting Jim Leighton was at Hibs as well when I was there. No, that's a great team. Listen, and every Aberdeen fan could write them off, without even a blinking, that was it. It's the same with Lisbon. These teams are never forgotten. The Rangers team that won the Cup Winners' Cup as well, they're never forgotten, because it doesn't happen very often, particularly at a club like Aberdeen. And you're still looking at 40 years ago. You could never even imagine Aberdeen now even getting into a group stage. For them to win it, is what an achievement.
Absolutely.
And then they beat Real Madrid in the final. It's not as if you beat.
No, it's not as if you beat an easy team.
Top team in the final.
Absolutely, and and they were managed by Alfredo Di Stefano. And the other aspect of it is they went on to win the European Super Cup. So they're the only Scottish team to win 2 European trophies, which is incredible still to this day, which is quite sad. But that's just the facts of the matter. And they took Scottish Cup wins for granted, because they were always there or thereabouts, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Obviously, it's just before my time, the early 80s and stuff, but it must have been great to watch as a fan. I've grown up in an era where it's just been Celtic Rangers dominating, winning everything. It must have been great for Dundee United fans or Aberdeen, getting down to Glasgow, beating them, beating them in cup finals, and being confident getting to finals and beating them.
Well, there's a lot
now you're just trying to get to a final and you're not expecting anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on our feed, Tam, I have to tell you, and lots of them would have gone, on supporters' buses watching Celtic and Rangers. And you would not be heading to Pittodrie or Tannadice thinking you're going to get 3 points or you're going to get into the next stage of a cup competition, because they were that good. And Fergie, he had them all absolutely rattled, as if to say there was some kind of conspiracy theory. Siege mentality was the order of the day. And the other good thing about it is, listen, you can have all the good managers you want. You need players technically gifted, and they had so many of them. If only some of them were playing for Aberdeen at this moment. But they're not. Scottish Cup, quite simply, here are the fixtures. pick a shock for us. Where do you think it's going to happen? We've got our own destination that we think there's the potential for a Scottish Cup shock, certainly a major one at that. So Hamilton Hearts is tonight, Ayr United Elgin tomorrow, with Dundee United against Kilmarnock. Livingston take on Inverness. It's Raith Rovers against Motherwell, and the evening kick-off is Celtic against St Mirren. On the Sunday, Rangers at home to Partick Thistle, and on the Monday, Darvel against Falkirk. Where's your money going if you're one of those people who just puts a little tipple on a possible cup shock? Give us your thoughts on that, because quite simply, we still think, I think Tam and I are in agreement where we think the cup shock is. I wonder if you can tell us where that is. Thanks to so many people who posted there about the Aberdeen situation. Hugh Scott says, Peter, I still remember watching that final on TV and shouting Aberdeen on as a Scottish team. Between them and Dundee United's team of that era, they really did Scottish football proud. Hugh, you are like many others. You can be a fan of either half of the old firm, but when Scottish teams are involved in getting to latter stages, you wanted them to win. There wasn't, I don't
think that's the case now, do you?
Do not think so. I think some people probably still of sane mind and not tribalistic would look, unless you're a Hibs fan or a Hearts fan or a Celtic and Rangers are moving on to it, there are some people who just don't want them to win. But I think from a Scottish perspective, you look at it and you say to yourself, it's Dundee United semi-finals of the European Cup, done in by a referee who took bribes.
Yeah,
does your head in, doesn't it?
Jim McLean used to had a column in the Daily Record, and he once commented that if I was half as good as I thought I was, I'd be playing for Real Madrid. So Jim McLean knew his stuff as well. Yeah. I've still got that article, by the way. So they talk about slaughtering people in columns now. That was Jim McLean about me. So I've still got that pinned in my wall. Yeah. Bob White says, Peter, Aberdeen haven't won the Scottish Cup since 1991. It's a disgraceful record. Is that a penalty shootout? I think that was 1990, Bob, if my memory serves me correct, because what I do remember about that is Anton Rogan missed a penalty and Charlie Nicholas walked up, cool as you like, and put one in the top corner. And I think Brian Irvine scored the winner. It might be, unless there's I think it was 1990. Bob, you might be right, it might be 91 that they got there again, but I think it's 1990, Bob. But still, I take your point, you make a valid point on this. It's absolutely terrible. Alan Wood says Jim McLean was a genius manager. Listen, it wasn't just 14 players, there was slightly more on their squad, but to win the league and to get to the latter stage is incrediable. It's amazing that some of the players have still got 2 years left in their contract. Yeah, some of them Andy actually. McLaren, I think, still got a year. Ferguson's probably got another year. What about Hamilton Hearts? That's our match tonight. We'll briefly just touch on this, Tam, because by the time some people in Doha and Dubai watch the programme, Hamilton Hearts will be done and dusted. So I'm going for Hearts to win, even with Lawrence Shanklin suspended. Oh, he's suspended. I don't think that would make much difference. I think that, as I said earlier, I think if this was 6-7 weeks ago, I think people would have expected Hearts to win in a canter. But Hamilton Accies have picked up a bit of form. They beat Ross County in the last round. I think they're 6 or 7 games unbeaten. They've got a wee bit of confidence about them. They've got a lot of young players in their team who I think will be fearless, and they'll see this as a big opportunity live on the TV, to showcase their talents to potential clubs and scouts and managers. So they'll be fired up, they'll be hungry, but I just think the Hearts have a wee bit too much experience for them, and I think they'll win maybe by a couple of goals. Yeah, we mentioned that Hearts have been in 3 of the last 4 finals. Would you look at that and say to yourself, if you wanted to see someone out with Celtic and Rangers, would you like to see Hearts get there and finally win the cup? No. I can't really pick Hibs because they put them out. But no, I think if you're looking for someone outside the Celtic Rangers, the only one you could really go for is Hearts. I think at the minute, I don't think any others have got a chance. Okay, let's get to the shocks, because there's going to be a shock. Surely it's not going to go all according to form for the bookies here. First and foremost, Celtic against St Mirren, and Adam Binney was out and about today. We'll hear from him shortly. Firstly, we're going to hear from John Kennedy, because he was chatting today, much to the surprise of people who thought, where's Ange? Is he on his way to Leeds?
Just tied him with the chair upstairs and get a couple of security at his door. So no, I said, listen, there's always speculation. I think, credit to the manager in terms of the job he's done here. I think it's a bit like players. When players come in and they do well, they get linked to other clubs. I think the manager's shown himself his abilities as a manager. I think when you do that and you have success with that, you attract attention.
Yeah, John Kennedy. The reason why I like to hear from John Kennedy is it's amazing how fans can twist things, and John Kennedy, Gavin Strachan and Steve McManus were duds and part of the reason why Celtic collapsed, and then suddenly they're part of Ange Postecoglou's ethos and everything's rosy in the garden. Those boys work really, really hard in the background for Celtic, as Michael Beale did in the background for Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, they do. I think that's fans are fickle. When the team's doing well, everybody's a great coach, a great manager. When the team's not doing so well, then they're all duds. It was the same when John Kennedy, Celtic were leaking a lot of goals. John Kennedy's must be the defensive coach. Get rid of him.
Yeah.
Leaking too many goals. Now Celtic are solid at the back. John Kennedy's a genius. So listen, I know Big John well, and I don't think he'll take it with a pinch of salt. He was a great defender himself back in the day before he got a bad injury. So no, I think that John's a coveted coach. I think if he ever decides to leave Celtic, I think there'll be a few teams, in the Premier League who would fancy him as a manager.
I'm surprised he's still there. I think John.
I think there's going to come a point, Peter, where he's got to step out on his own.
He's got to go and do it. Yeah. I don't think it's too far away, but I really do think he should. As far as Celtic are concerned, okay, now Giacomakis is gone. They have to go with what they've got, and what they've got is very, very strong. Dave says Big Ange is doing a Viduka down to Leeds United. It's no disrespect to Leeds United, but Ange Postecoglou is probably looking at all the jobs that have come up in the English Premier League, and he's got a mindset where he's saying to himself, like Gordon Strachan used to say, there's a shelf life, but within that shelf life of 3 to 4 years, what can you achieve?
Yeah, I think there will come a point where he's hit his ceiling at Celtic. I don't think he's hit that yet. There'll come a point, as you said, where he's thinking, I need a new challenge. I've won everything I have to win in Scotland. We've made an impact in Europe. It's time for me to move on. I don't think that's now. I think it might be maybe a year, 18 months. But I don't think any of the jobs that have come up, are really that attractive. You never know, the Liverpool job might come up soon and they might get linked to that one. Yeah, absolutely. No chance. Shut at you. I know where you're going with that. He's not getting sacked. Yes. By the way, Ray just says 5:30 is a rubbish time for a kick-off on a Saturday. It's great for TV, but not for punters who go to the games. I'll tell you, Ray, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'll tell you why I hate 5:30, because see, if you're a reporter, it just kills your whole day. It does. If you're a fan, you can go to the pub all day, watch the scores, and then go to the game. Yeah, not really an advocate of people going to the pub all day and then going to a game. The other thing about it is for a lot of people who travel fair distance, again, it kills your whole day as well. You get home later on. It's just for TV companies, isn't it? And some people will like the kick off, and like the guy there will not like it. Yeah, absolutely. Bob says Ange will go in the summer. He'll lose the League Cup and the Scottish Cup. Says Bob. Bob says that. Listen, stranger things have happened, Bob. Okay, let's do a video now of a flying pig going across the studio. Going to stick a pound on that? 300 million to one. Bob, if that happens, can you phone us and say, come over to Barbados with you? We'll be there with you, Bob, if that happens, because if you're putting money on that is a humdinger. Anyway, as far as St Mirren are concerned, they have the unenviable task of going to take on a side that just at this moment look as if they're going through the gears in the business end of the season, and Adam Binney was out there to find out what was happening in Stephen Robinson's camp.
St Mirren take on Celtic in the 5th round of the Scottish Cup this weekend. So I took a trip to the St Mirren training ground this morning to speak to Stephen Robinson and Trevor Carson. Robinson admitted that the St Mirren board were delighted with the draw for the financial implications, but his reaction was not quite the same.
Absolutely delighted, yeah. It was certainly the hardest draw in the bag, wasn't it? It's an easier draw at home would have been nice, but in terms of the finances, of course, look, it's huge for the football club. It helps bridge that gap, that the debts that we announced as well, so gives a little bit of breathing space. But certainly once the draw has been made, there's been a positivity around the place, and I've said to the players, it puts you on a platform to show how good you are. It puts you on a stage to put your name down in history. Anybody that can go and take points or beat Celtic and Rangers in the Cup earn a lot of headlines. So it's a chance for boys to make headlines.
And it looks as though St Mirren goalkeeper Trevor Carson could be in for a busy night tomorrow at Celtic Park, up against the side that he believes to be the best in Scotland.
Of course, there's no point going there if you think you've got no chance. They're a great team. They're the best team in the country, and we give them all the respect that they deserve. But at the same time, you have to have belief. We want to go there and win the game and do as well as we can in the cup. And there's a good buzz about the place. I've just been speaking to Mark Bahar there in the gym, and there's a nice feel about the place. That we've got to hold on to that and take the positives, because I've been in dressing rooms where you go to Celtic Park and you're already beat before you go. You can sense that around the place, but it's certainly not the case here.
Real Madrid were the last side to defeat Celtic, and St Mirren are actually the only Scottish side to have beaten them this season. And on top of that, St Mirren were the last team to beat Celtic at home. That was nearly 2 years ago. So given that, Peter, is it just going to be plain sailing tomorrow, or do we have an upset on the cards?
I'll tell you one thing, if you're a manager and you want your stock to go right through the roof, it's take a big scalp, and Stephen Robinson has that prospect on offer tomorrow evening.
Yeah, it'd be a monster scalp. I don't think anybody, bar the most ardent St Mirren fan, expects them to go to Celtic Park and put Celtic out of the cup, but stranger things have happened. They beat them at home. They know they've got their capability of beating Celtic on their day. They need to play really well, and Celtic need to play poorly. It can happen. I don't expect it to happen. I think Celtic will be too strong, but you never know in a one-off cup tie. Be interesting to see what Ange's team is. Does he rotate players? Does he keep the same team that's been playing? Does he bring a couple of players in? St Mirren obviously will go as strong as possible, but I think whatever team Celtic put out, ultimately they'll be too strong for St Mirren.
Well, Gordon McLean says Peter, has that young boy left school yet? So that young boy hasn't even had a haircut properly, but he's young Adam is doing a fine job. He's out and about with Kerry, our reporters, covering as many games as possible, and of course going to the press conferences. We've got Patrick as well, we've got your man Ali, we've got Claire up at Tannadice and Dundee United. We've just got them all over the place, Tom.
All bases covered, and as I said, it's great for a Saturday show to have the live reports coming in. I don't think there's anybody else doing it, so it's great for us to have up to the minute reports on the games. I
quite enjoy the Saturday. It's quite different from the Ruffy situation, because obviously we've been together, Ruffy and I, 10 years, which is magic. We almost can read each other's minds, but really between you and I, it's just a kind of a ding-dong battle of noise-ups, which I thoroughly enjoy. So if you can, give us your time, 4 o'clock till 6 on a Saturday. If you're not going to a match, that is, if you're maybe Ray's not going to that 5:30 kick-off, we'd love to have you with us. So that's Celtic. What about the Rangers camp? They've got Thistle on the Sunday, which again, at home, Rangers unbeaten under Michael Beale. If Celtic are going through the gears, Rangers are unbeaten since Michael Beale arrived. It's just an impressive, if they have to grind it out, they grind it out. If they have to win convincingly, they can do that as well.
I think he's still waiting on a big performance at home.
Yeah.
I think they've huffed and puffed. I think Celtic obviously was their best performance at home. Ultimately never won the game, but I think that,
away from home Hearts, is that the best of the season?
That's the best I've played that I've seen.
Of the season, yeah.
Of the season, I thought they were outstanding. Right. But at home, Michael Beale, I think, still waiting a statement game. A 4 or 5 or 6. Everything clicks and everything goes in. St Johnstone, 10 men. 2-0, Ross County last week, 2-1, so I think this might be the game where everything clicks into gear. He's got competition for places now in that team, in that squad, which is crucial for any manager, and he knows that there's players breathing down other players' necks for a starting place, so whichever team he picks will be highly motivated to go out and play well and keep the jersey. Yeah, Kerry was out there today to find out what was happening ahead of this match in the Rangers camp.
Rangers take on Partick Thistle this weekend in the Scottish Cup, and Michael Beale says it's important to play teams that you aren't so familiar with, but is well aware that Ian McCall will be telling his players how big of an occasion this is and that they don't have much to lose.
It's nice to play a team that's not in our league, but also we knowing that they've got nothing to lose coming to Ibrox this weekend. I'm sure that's what Cawley will be telling his team. We've got everything to gain as well. It's making sure that we play justice to the importance it has for us at Rangers.
Beale says that there won't be many changes to his side to what faced Ross County last weekend, and the patiently waiting Antonio Cholak's time will come this weekend. Who he's paired with up top remains a mystery.
Definitely an opportunity for Cholak to play. I think he's waited frustratingly on the sidelines to get an opportunity because Alfredo's been in good form, and in all fairness to Antonio, he's not been 100% fit in the time I've been here. But he's had a really good 10 days now of solid training. He looks strong, so early team news will be Cholak will play. Whether he plays with Morelos or not, we'll decide nearer the time.
I think the Rangers fans will be delighted to see him coming back. The other aspect of this is slowly but surely, he's mentioned the fact that getting injured players back is the key for him, as well as, you know, the players who've been taking him and, you know, stepping up to the plate week in, week out. He'll be stronger week by week if he gets likes of Cholak back.
Yep, I think that we always say that the strength in any team is their bench. I think that Rangers have been weak. You know, and up until the last couple of weeks, they've been weak this season in terms of their options for the bench. I think Celtic are far stronger in terms of depth, but now Rangers are starting to get players back. Cholak, Hadji on his way back, Souters on his way back. You know, they've signed a couple of players, so all of a sudden you've got 5 or 6, you know, real good players come into the squad, and that increases competition for places. So whichever team he plays, I think he'll play both of them tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect opportunity. You know, no disrespect to Thistle, at home to Partick Thistle. It's a great opportunity for him to play the 2 strikers and see what they're like, see if they can link up together in a less pressurised situation than a league game. So, no, I think he'll play both of them tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how the both of them link up and if they can play as a 2.
Yeah, just as an aside, I noticed a little article with Stephen Davis saying he'd love to get back fit, not quite sure he's ready to hang up the boots, maybe just a swan song. I'm sure there's a coaching job for him at Ibrox as well. He's going to obviously take his badges all the way through to the highest one you can take in the A for the UEFA category. But I think he's got so much to offer. I do hope Stephen gets back fully fit. He's, as you know, I'm a big fan of Stephen Davis in the middle of the park.
Yeah, listen, he's a top player. He's a great career. You know, I think he's over 100 caps for Northern Ireland.
140.
You know, 140. Hopefully he gets to the 147. That would be his big break. But if Davis continues, you know, at Rangers, you know, he'll go and. You know, I think he's got a coaching job. Surely you want to keep a guy like that around the place.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can all get in the queue if you're eager to batter Tam over the head with one for every gag that comes. But nevertheless, that's gag number 575 in the crappy list that he's delivered on this show since he joined. How long have you been here now? 4 years. 4 years. That's a lot of stuff that people have had to put up with. But I'm sure it won't be the last for a Steve Davis gag. But I hope he gets back. As far as Partick Thistle are concerned, maybe a free hit. Adam Binney was out there to talk to Ian McCall.
Not outside of a training ground or a stadium today, Peter. A little bit of a different backdrop. I'm at the Macklin Motors Nissan Glasgow Central showroom for this afternoon's Partick Thistle press conference. I never thought I'd say that, but the sponsors getting their money's worth ahead of the big match on Sunday against Rangers at Ibrox. We're here to speak to Ian McCall and Brian Graham, and although the odds are stacked against McCall's Partick Thistle, he's quietly confident, reminiscing about a time during his first spell in charge where they managed to get the best of the Ibrox side.
Well, aye, the support has been great. I mean, they haven't. There's been a lot of things behind the scenes this season that's made it really, really difficult. The sport are well aware of that. Hopefully, we're getting that ironed out in the next wee while. I always remember the support of the last game in 2008 when Harkins kind of beat about 2 or 3 men as he was wont to do and slipped the ball into Damon. Our fans behind the goal went crazy. So, the support's been fantastic.
Shortly before he disappeared to go and buy a car of his own, right in this showroom today, Brian Graham was speaking to us to preview the match on Sunday afternoon. He was speaking about his mentality going into this one. Him and his teammates are not going to roll over, as he was telling us about just how competitive he is.
Of course it does. I think, obviously I'm the manager of the women's side as well, and I say to them, even if I'm out the back of my kids, I want to win. I don't like losing. So it'll be no different come Sunday, come kick-off. We know there'll be a huge crowd in there. We've got a good backing ourselves with the Thistle fans, and if we can go there, stifle Rangers and get the crowd on top of Rangers, then I know that could cause problems for them. So we've got our game planned, as I've already said, and we go there and score the first goal, you'll see a different game.
Well, that concludes perhaps the strangest backdrop I've had to a piece to camera on this show, Peter, but at the weekend it's a fresh challenge for Partick Thistle. Do you think Ian McCall and his side can drive away any concerns around their current form with a win against Rangers on Sunday?
Do you see what he did there? Drive away. He's got it in. You've got to be happy with that, son, haven't you? He's been absolutely magnificent. Great to see Ian McCall's bounce back since not getting that part in Last of the Summer Wine. Absolutely magnificent. Anyway, if he signs a deal with Gillette, he's going to earn a fortune. But he's one of those guys. He's been over the course, Collie. I mean, amazingly, I can remember playing against him in the Scottish Cup schools all those years ago. He was a wonderful player. For me, an underachiever as far as the talent that he had as a manager. At one time, can you believe he was on an absolute fortune at Dundee United? But at Thistle, should he be doing better? The cup's a free hit for him, but you know, should he be doing better based on what he has available to him?
Yeah, I think he should. I think that I think he's been well back this season in terms of a budget, in terms of bringing players in. I think they've got a really strong squad at Partick Thistle. You would expect him to be challenging for the league title. You know, they're still in the playoffs. You know, and as long as they're in the playoffs, I think they'll be fine. You know, I think if Partick Thistle can finish in the top four, then they get in the playoffs and they've got every chance. You know, they maybe getting up this season, but you know, I think if they finish outside the playoffs, it would be a really disappointing season for them. But this is a free hit for them. They've got a lot of good players, Partick Thistle, in my opinion. I think they can go and cause Rangers problems, but again, you know, I just think the gulf, you know, between the top end of the Premier League and the Championship is too big.
Yeah, what about Brian Graham showing off buying a car in February? That's outrageous, isn't it?
Brian's supposed to get a good deal.
Yeah, absolutely. What about Ayr against Elgin now? This should be one of the straightforward ones for me because Ayr doing well and Lee Bullen is cutting his teeth as a manager. Okay, I think Gavin Price will just look to say, we beat Drumchapel in the last round, let's see if we can somehow manage to shock them.
Yeah, I don't see any problems for United. I think that they're flying this season in the Championship. I think at home, Somerset Park, you know, under the lights, it's a real difficult place to get a result. So, you know, I'm delighted for Lee Bullen. Lee was a coach of mine at Falkirk, and under Stephen Presley, he was assistant. And I always thought that Lee was destined to go on and be a manager. You know, he had a great presence about him. His training sessions were great. His passing drills were great. And I just think that he's got it in him to be a manager, and he's doing really well at United. And if they can stay at the top end of the Championship this season, then his stock's going to go through the roof.
Yeah, I don't think that's where a shock is. Ayr to win for me.
Yeah, I think Ayr will be too strong.
I didn't ask you about Rangers. Obviously we thought Hearts will get through, but Rangers have got to win comfortably 3-0. Celtic, you know, similar scoreline.
Yeah, I think Rangers will win by handsomely. I think they'll win by maybe 3 or 4, the same with Celtic.
Yeah, okay. Dundee United against Kilmarnock. Now, this one is interesting because they have actually met each other. Kelly beat them 1-0 in the league at the start of this month. But I'm looking at the forum. United 1 win in 6. That was against Stirling Uni. United, over the course of the season, 8 wins from 29 matches. It's not great. And I just wonder if the board's flack that's coming their way from the fans is maybe just at this moment buying him a little bit of time, Liam Fox.
Yeah, I think as long as they're not adrift, I think that it's the same for every club down there. I think as long as you're in the mix, yes. You know, I think if you go 4, 5, 6 points adrift at the bottom, it's a different story entirely. I think they're all running about the same points.
Yeah.
You know, they're all beating each other. None of the teams are picking up wins and putting a run together.
But when you have that stat there, is it because the board are looking and saying, okay, you're underachieving because we think Dundee United should be, you know, mid-table? Or are the board looking and saying, well, for the money that we've shelled out here, should we have a Dundee United side top 6? And the biggest mistake I think the board have made is I think they've given Liam Fox the job, you know, and it's too big for him at the moment, I think, personally.
Yeah, I think you've got to give him a little bit of time. Peter, I think that when you look at the previous manager, Jack Ross, came in on probably a big contract, they sacked him. You know, were Dundee United financially able to go out and get another top manager and pay him the money as well? You know, they're probably still maybe paying Jack Ross off now, you know, paying his wages. So I just think it's been a really disappointing season for Dundee United. We watched the Alkmaar game at home when they won 1-0. Yeah. And if you'd have told me after that game that Dundee United would be in a relegation battle and they sacked the manager 6 weeks later, you know, you'd give you $1,000,000. You know, it's just... It's fell apart quickly up there after such a bright start. So I still think they've got quality. I still think like guys like Stephen Fletcher, Charlie Mulgrew, we Sybold in the middle of the park. I think they've got quality to get them out of the situation they're in. I don't think they'll get relegated. And I would fancy them to beat a Kilmarnock team who have been really, really poor on the road this season. I think 2 points they've picked up all season away from home. You know, just as well their home form's been good on that Astro, or they would be adrift. So I just think Dundee United get a wee bit extra quality. That they'll get through.
Does it, if they don't get through? I mean, obviously Liam Fox has mentioned he's calling for unity and the fans' backing for this game at home. If they don't get through, is that breaking point for them? Will that be the straw that breaks the camel's back for United fans calling for change, or will they just still be looking at the board rather than the manager?
Yeah, I think they're looking more at the board. I think they're looking at the transfer window that they just had in January there. I don't think they signed a player. I think they maybe signed a development player, and there was a tournament out the door. But I think that's all the players that went out the door weren't really regulars. So I think they trimmed the squad in the right manner. You know, they got rid of players that weren't they maybe playing and trimmed the wage bill. I think they've got to do that. You know, Stephen Fletcher, Charlie Mulgrew, Tony Watt, these guys are on big money up there.
Yeah.
And they've managed to get Tony Watt out even on loan to the end of the season. So I don't think it was too drastic in terms of cuts and cutting the squad. I still think they've got a nucleus, a good squad and a good team at Dundee United, but I think the focus and the eye of the fans is still aimed towards the board, Tony Ashgar, rather than the manager at the minute.
Yep, okay. Livingston against Inverness Cali Thistle was interesting because we heard from David Martindale yesterday. He's quite simply not going to put VAR on, saves himself 10 grand, and he has mentioned that for all the home games with VAR on, it's 80 to £100,000, and that budget, that money comes out of his budget. So is it all or nothing for you on this? What's your take on the Scottish Cup?
Well, it's all or nothing. Either every club's got VAR or nobody has it.
All through the different stages.
I just think it's unfair. It's unfair for one game to have VAR and another game not to. It could be a big decision, that's missed, and another team gets it in VAR.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair, Peter. And
here's my take. I think it should be semi-final and final, because
if you bought it at Hampden, I would agree with that.
If you've battled all that way and it's now getting to silverware and a financial reward, and the reward is so great that it could define your season, then I think semi-final and final, when you're asking clubs to take a £10,000 hit, I mean, Inverness Cali Thistle could end up, if that was the case, Inverness Cali Thistle could end up with a pittance for heading down to Livingston.
Yeah, it could end up costing them money.
Yeah, which is not good.
Depending on the crowd at Livingston. It's not good at all. And this is a tie that you're talking about free hits. Inverness have got the biggest free hit in the world at this game. They get down there with no pressure whatsoever. They get well beaten by Queen's Park in the last round. They got very lucky with obviously administrative error at Queen's Park's end, and they find themselves in the next round through default. If you're Billy Dodge, you're just saying, listen, go out and enjoy it. You by all accounts, you shouldn't really be here, but go out and enjoy it and try and get a result, try and cause a shock, because that would be a big shock for me. Livingston are very, very strong at home this season. A lot of people have got them as big favourites in this game. Inverness go down as underdogs, but Inverness have got a great cup pedigree in the Scottish Cup. You can't forget, John Barnes, at Celtic Park, the 3-1 game, and then they won it under Big Yogi. Beating Falkirk in the final. And they beat Celtic, I think, again in the Scottish Cup under Martin O'Neill. So they've got a great pedigree. Inverness.
And they're unbeaten in 6 games.
Yeah, they've had a bit of form as well with Dodsley. So listen, they'll go down with a free hit, but you would think that Inverness would be too strong. Sorry, Livingston.
Yeah, you get that feeling. Of course, Livingston's record in the cup is not great. I think, I don't think they've reached the semi-final. For 19 years. It's been a long time.
It was. I played in that game as well. It was 4-1. I can remember John O'Neill. We were talking about Alec McLeish earlier. We worked on a throw-in, and the first throw-in on the far side, we done a crossover and they threw it into John O'Neill's path, and he had it first time, and we scored within 2 minutes of that game. And it was a throw-in that Alec McLeish had worked on all week. So that shows you how good a manager he was. And I remember that game. We beat Livingston. I think it was 3 or 4-1, and we lost to Celtic in the final when Celtic won the treble. But it's amazing that Livingston have not got to the semi-final since then.
Yeah, I've got Livingston to win by a goal.
I'll go for 3-1 Livingston.
Yeah, okay, far more convincing. It's all about opinions. You can give us your opinion. Don't forget, if you hit the subscribe button, you can join the football family. We are on 24/7 as far as the app is concerned, because all the breaking football news is on there. You can watch video content on the phone, the tablet, the PC, and if you put YouTube up on your telly any night of the week, on Monday to Friday, 4 o'clock till 5, you'll get the football show. You can watch it live or at your leisure. Tam and I will be here tomorrow, 4 o'clock till 6. And as ever, with the 4 o'clock till 6 show, I really do enjoy the fact that we're able to interact with people who are on the live feed. The only thing we do mention on a regular basis, and it's only due to the fact that I think sometimes decent people and their voice and their call for, how can I put it, a decent way to engage with each other. Their voices sometimes are not heard by people who spoil it on the feed. So if you want to go on the feed and use foul language, then we will ban you. You can go on and chat about anything else you want. You can give us pelters, as long as you don't abuse people. That's the only thing. Yeah, I don't mind pelters, and of course you will have to put up with, and I make no apologies about it, you will have to put up with what I call, how can I put this, dim-witted old firm fans who go tit for tat on that whole administration, liquidation, batter each other, not a brain in their head, and more obsessed with each other's club rather than talking about their own and the football. That's the joy of it, Tam. Sometimes somebody said to us, why don't you do a phone in? And I thought to myself, wow, I had 10 years of it at Radio Clyde.
See Radio Clyde, I've always wondered this, was there a delay?
Oh, absolutely there was a delay. It was about 6 or 7 seconds, but that was enough to kind of give you a real sense of, some of them
started swearing and all that, just bang,
swear, or some people would use certain language or certain phrases that everybody wanted to use to think they were smart, it was just to see if there was a bit of one-upmanship. But again, more often than not, it was very few people, I have to say. A lot of people that phoned in at Radio Clyde were all,
So you were there about 2011, 2012, while Rangers' problems?
Yes.
I can only imagine.
Well, I'd had enough. Honestly, you really need to. I remember spitting image used to a bit where they used to take the top off Ronald Reagan's head and take his brain out, and I felt like that. You just go brain dead with people who's, just constantly bickering about stupidities that it's tiresome. But in saying that, I think at Radio Clyde it was great fun. There was a lot of really nice people phoned in, loved a bit of banter. Derek was top. To sit next to Derek for 8 years was great fun. I mean, not only do I consider him a fantastic footballer, but DJ, his patter was magnificent. And luckily for me, for Derek, in came Ruffy, same type of guy, just mental patter, and played at a time when absolutely Scottish football had really good footballers. The sad indictment that we've got now when we're talking about all these games? A lot of the teams, the top teams, for 20 years, not one of their players would get into your greatest 11. We did it the other day when we did the Rangers greatest 11, the Celtic greatest 11, the Celtic top 10 players, top 10 Rangers players. Somebody on Twitter actually had a go at us and said, it's amateur hour, you've put together 10 Celtic players with no research. We just threw it out there. It's just a bit of fun.
Talking about the players that want to get into the teams, the all-time teams, even 20, 25 years ago, those players, even the times have changed for then. You're talking about obviously before that with Derek Johnson and your Jinkies and all that, but even Henrik Larsson's, Paul Gascoigne's, Laudrup's, Moravcik's, guys like that.
Absolutely.
20, 25 years ago. I think there's a big gap between them even now and the current Celtic Rangers teams.
And Gallant makes a great point. He says Gordon Duncan is a fantastic host. He's very fair, and I think he's right. I wonder where Gordon Duncan started.
Was that another one that came out through La Masia?
All came out through at La Masia, yep. PLZ, they all started here. Gordon Duncan, Derek Clark, Connie McLaughlin worked under me, Sheila McLaren. It's just like a conveyor belt of people
that all want to have top careers, so there's no excuses for Kerry and Adam.
Well, Kerry and Adam will go on to have really top careers, believe me. Raith versus Motherwell. Let's kick on. That's where I think the shock's coming. I think Raith under John McGlynn.
Motherwell was going to win there. I thought it was a shock.
Yeah, well, that would be a shock.
Ian Murray, Raith.
Yeah, Ian Murray, sorry. John McGlynn was there. Ian Murray now. And I tell you, they're unbeaten in 8 games, 7 wins out of 8.
Yep, going well. I played with Ian Murray for 7 years at Hibs, and I never seen him as a manager. He was the quietest guy in the world.
Yeah.
You've never seen boot a goose. He cut his teeth, I think, at Dumbarton, and then didn't have a great spell at St Mirren, but went to Airdrie, done well, and is now doing well at Raith Rovers, so he's starting to build up again. I think he's a good manager. He played great football, Raith Rovers.
Yep.
Seen him a few times on the BBC Scotland on a Friday night, and I think they're a really good team. I think they're used to that AstroTurf as well. They get the ball down and play, they've got some talent. It's a very hard game for Motherwell.
Yeah.
All the pressure's on Motherwell as well.
I think that's where the shock's coming.
I think so as well. I think that could be the one. I think the first goal's vital. I think if Motherwell lose the first goal, they're taking 2,000 fans up there. I think I heard between 1,600 and 2,000 in that big stand.
Yeah,
they will start to slaughter the team if they go behind. So I think if you're a Motherwell fan, if you're a Motherwell player, you're thinking go and start the game well, try and get your noses in front, and then and try and win the game. But that's a very difficult game for Motherwell.
When was the last time you were at Starks Park?
Not that long ago, maybe a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
I think when Hibs won the championship, I think I went to a few games there. But decent stadium. But the AstroTurf is a big thing for Raith. They're used to it. They train on it every day. And I think that could be a problem for Motherwell.
Yeah. James says 2-1 to Raith. I share James's view. I think Raith are going to edge it.
I think they might just edge it as well.
Yeah.
I just see a real lack of confidence and lack of belief in that Motherwell team at the minute.
Yeah. Let's find out what about that confidence. Kerry Pollock was out there to find out about this game.
At Fir Park today, Stephen Hamill has been preparing his players for a game that they must get a positive result from this weekend against Raith Rovers in the Scottish Cup, and the Fir Park boss has full confidence that his squad can do so.
The players that we've brought in have highlighted it to us in terms of the mood and the belief and the quality that we've got ultimately. It's something we've got massively at the club. It's translating that, and that's been where the biggest frustration has been, translating what we see every single day and the detail that we go and the levels we achieve and the quality we see in training, translating that onto a match day. That's been the task, and that's kind of where the frustrations came from.
It was announced this week that former club CEO Alan Burrows was making the move to Pittodrie to take up his new role, something that fans weren't too pleased to hear. Here's what the Fir Park boss had to say on the situation.
We knew Alan was leaving. It was no secret. It was announced that he was leaving. There was a date given to that. After that, out with that, I mean, it's out with my control what we do with that. I speak with the chairman regularly. Another man who's got, full everything he does. He wants the club to do well, and it's, I'll dialogue with the chairman every week, and the process to replace Alan is well and truly underway.
I really want Stephen to do well. I just think he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders right now because the pressure of it. He is desperately hoping he can get out of this current run that they're on.
Yeah, listen, I know Stephen well. I keep banging on about it, and it's difficult to see him. He looks under the cosh here, he looks under pressure, but that's management. When you get into that environment, you've got to get results. And whether you're a young manager, an experienced manager, it doesn't matter. You've got to get results. Football's a results business, and unfortunately for Motherwell, he hasn't been getting results, and the pressure's building and building and building. You see the fans starting to turn a little bit now as well on him and the coaching staff. So they need a result, and a good result against Raith tomorrow could kickstart their season. It could give them a confidence to go in and put a run of games together and a run of wins together. They've got a lot of new players in there. I think it's been important for him this week. I feel that he's got a full week's training with the guys. He's got time to embed them in what he wants, and I think they've signed some decent players. So it's just about putting it onto the pitch. He's talking about training there. You see teams, I've played in teams that's brilliant in training, then you go on the Saturday and people don't want the ball, when they're under pressure. So he needs players to stand up and be counted tomorrow at Raith Rovers and be brave and get on the ball and try and make things happen, because if you've got players starting to hide under pressure, then you're goosed.
Yeah, good message here coming in from Norman. Some breaking news which will provide a shock for you, and then obviously maybe just a little bit of enjoyment, because Norman says, I heard Ruffy's ditched you, Peter, and is taking up a new post with Radio Clyde, so good luck, Ruffy.
You're right, Norman. We're getting a couple of shifts.
I hope you're right, Norman. Brilliant. Norman, I can't see that happening, but listen, if Mo Johnson can sign for Rangers, anything can happen in life. But thanks for all the messages from so many people on the games. And James says Motherwell may need a new manager to stay up. But listen, tomorrow is it make or break for Motherwell? If it's make or break in Liam Fox, what is it?
I don't think it's make
Hamill?
or break for Hammy.
No?
I think it's a difficult game. But if they go and they go and get beat 2 or 3-0, then the calls will be louder for his head. But if he goes there and wins, it just takes a lot of pressure off him.
Yeah, join us if you can, 4 o'clock till 6 tomorrow. Tam will be alongside me. Can I just say, on Monday it's Darvel against Falkirk. The last round we got a huge delivery of pies, bridies, cakes. We got Empire biscuits, you name it, it was there for us.
All the staff through there took all the good stuff.
Yeah,
and me and Ruffy get left for the dregs.
Well, with all due respect to you, Tam Counts says, is there anything left? And I said, he says, not even a pie. And I went, no. I says, because McManus and Ruff left with the killie pies. So, Darvel, they say it's their toughest game against Falkirk. What about that for a shot in the arm against Aberdeen? But the good thing is, Falkirk, it looks as if it's heading for a sellout. Falkirk, I think, are going to take up their full allocation of 900 fans.
Yep, Falkirk going well at the minute as well. I think they were unlucky the other night, lost a late goal, or else it was going to be, I think, 7 straight wins. They're applying the pressure on Dunfermline in that league. They're staying on their coattails. They've had a great transfer window. I've got a lot of Falkirk fans who are pals of mine, and they're really, really positive about life under John McGlynn and where the club's going after being in the doldrums for 2 or 3 seasons. So they're confident going down to Darvel and winning. I think the surprise factor's gone from Darvel. I think a lot of people just thought, they're a non-league team, they'll kick it up the park and they'll park the bus and they weren't anything like that at all. They played some lovely football, they were well organised, they've got a good manager there.
Yep.
Falkirk will need to go down there and play well. They'll need to roll the sleeves up and dig in, but they'll need to play well as well, because Darvel have got some really, really good players in their team.
I hope the cameras are in there so we can hear Mick's pre-match team talk.
I've already done that one. I think he should just chuck it on that one.
Yeah.
Aye. Unless he's going to give any given Monday.
Yeah, listen, if he does that speech, I think it would be a bit cheesy, but I'd still like to hear it. But it is good when you can get access like that. That's so unusual, isn't it?
That was great. They do a lot of that in America, actually. And obviously I played in America. And they do a lot of that in America. They go into the dressing room at half time and full time, interview managers and players and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in case you've joined us for the first time and you're not aware, Tam played in America. It's a standing joke now on the show. He usually mentions it. I think actually we've got a suite running where people earn lots of money every time he mentions it. And if I say somebody's a good lad, then you get yourself a few quid as well. It's a great sweepstake, Tam. But there's the Scottish Cup. Is there going to be a shock? If there is, let us know. We'd love to hear from you on it. Thanks to everyone who's been taking part in the competition, and thank you to everyone for their comments on the Scottish Cup ties as well as your team, any of the emerging news. One of them that's been over the last 48 hours certainly caught the imagination of everyone once again, and has prompted a fair bit of anger once more, is the European Super League. They look as if they're trying to get it off the ground. There's a European Court of Justice ruling which is coming, which again could effectively kill off this latest reincarnation, let me suggest, of a number of clubs trying to push the envelope and trying to say, well, we didn't get it last time with our 16-team Super League where we could all be greedy and earn a lot of money, so let's throw another little carrot into the mix and offer 60 teams in it and see if we can break the monopoly of UEFA.
Yeah, I think they'll obviously go about it differently than they did the last time. Get a lot of criticism from supporters of clubs. I think the clubs that are heavily in debt want it the most. Real Madrid's, Barcelona's, teams like that who can't compete with English teams now. They need to find a way to get back to being a dominant force in Europe, and that means money. And I think all the English teams have got the power. Celtic, Rangers, I see, would be invited in any new Super League as well. And see, to be honest with you, I think clubs out with Celtic, Rangers would welcome that. I think your Aberdeen fans, the Hibs fans, Falkirk, I think they would welcome that, because you'd now get a league that was competitive, rather than Celtic, Rangers dominating. They've got a chance to go and watch their team win the league or winning cups. So I think if it did, I think it will happen in the future. When that is, I don't know. But I think when it does, I think that I don't think Scottish football will fall apart. I don't think it will be Celtic, Rangers are going, that's a backwater. I think that a lot of teams out with Celtic, Rangers and their fans would welcome it. Yeah,
I think Celtic and Rangers obviously will just sit and wait and let the whole thing suddenly take place, see if there's any court ruling that will go in their favour. I don't see it happening short term, but I do see a big change, because quite simply the reason why there'll be change is because there's a lot of clubs, especially in Europe as well, who are finding it really, really difficult to even match what's going on in England, and I think that might force change along the way. But we have to wait and see. As far as the Scottish Cup is concerned, you can stay with us on Saturday 4 till 6 and we'll get you reports, managers and players' reaction to the results in the Scottish Cup. Hopefully you can join us for that. We'll look ahead to Rangers against Partick Thistle in greater detail and Darvel against Falkirk on the Monday. We'll give you the answer to the quiz very shortly. There's some great games to look forward to in the English Premier League this weekend. Here's just a little taster before we go. And I think of the games, there's one that's screaming out on the Monday. West Ham against Chelsea is a goodie. Arsenal against Brentford. Crystal Palace Brighton. Fulham against Nottingham Forest. Leicester Tottenham. Southampton against Wolves. Bournemouth against Newcastle. Leeds United Manchester United used to be such a big fixture. Still equally so, I have to say. Man City against Aston Villa, and I'm just looking at it on the Monday. Liverpool against Everton. I could have got his tickets, Tam. We'd have had to have really, left at a really good time and raced down there. It just wasn't happening. We'd need a Harrier jump jet to get down there in time.
You would. I think that'll be a cracking game. I think that Everton are buoyed with Sean Dyche coming in. A great result against Arsenal. I think there's a lot of positivity suddenly around that club because of that win. So. And they go to Liverpool, who are under pressure. The manager's under pressure. The players are getting slaughtered. The owners are getting slaughtered. So you wouldn't. I know Everton have got a poor record at Anfield, but you wouldn't put it past Big Dyche. Putting a wee shape together and nicking a 1-0 or a 2-1.
Yeah, I don't think too many Liverpool fans would be happy. I certainly wouldn't be happy about it. But Klopp himself is well aware that it's maybe time for some Liverpool players to step up and try and show these fans what they're capable of.
Is a time where we as well can show, if we want to show, that the club is really special. So the boys, and we delivered a lot of great moments in the last few years. In the moment, it's not for different reasons. Not all of them are clear. It's not possible that we didn't do it, but we are fighting for it to change the situation in a better direction.
Jonathan says Liverpool will beat them. I think you're right. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. You?
1-0 Everton.
Before I give everybody the answer to the quiz, who's going to win the Super Bowl? I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you?
No, Eagles.
Eagles for you?
All day. Eagles all day for me.
Okay, against Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
Okay, never thought we'd get American football sneaked into the last seconds of the show. The answer...
Show on earth, Rihanna, half-time show.
Rihanna? Yeah. Will you wait up through it all?
I've got 5 of my pals that come into mine to watch it.
Is that right?
Yes.
5 of your pals?
I've got 5 pals, by the way, just before you crack that.
No, I just wanted to know why I wasn't in the top 5, but then again, I can't believe it.
Top 10.
Yeah.
3 big kegs, the big kegs of beer, so the boys are bringing that up with a big beer machine.
Fantastic.
So Monday,
yep.
that could be a write-off on Monday.
I was just about to say we might have to get a reserve in for you. No, we don't need to. There's a mannequin over there. We'll get that and set it next to Ruffy. Anyway, what about the quiz? Did you get the answer?
No, I didn't. No.
Semi-finals.
Wait a minute.
No, that was the quarters. It was Waterschei of Belgium. Waterschei.
Are they still a team?
I haven't seen them about, actually. I haven't heard anything, but Aberdeen battered them 5-1 in the first leg, and the game was done and dusted. I think they lost 1-0 in the second leg, but then Aberdeen knew they were going into the final in Gothenburg, and the rest, as they say, is history, which I think Aberdeen fans will be celebrating in the nostalgia. May the 11th at the Marcliffe Hotel. They're all assembling for that one. Certainly it's one I'm really looking forward to. As far as the competition, this today and tomorrow is your last chance to get your name in. You don't have to answer a question, you just have to say, do you want to win the Celtic or the Rangers book, as Kerry tells you now.
This is your chance to win one of these fantastic books that looks back at the classic shirts throughout both clubs' history. You can read about your favourite shirt and your favourite season as a Celtic or Rangers supporter. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is tell us which book you would like to win in the comment section below. And to double your chances of winning, hit the subscribe button and join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Good luck. Brilliant to hear from Kerry and Adam today. Reporters going right across the whole of the country trying to bring you all the stories from the managers and players. And of course, we love to interact with you on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. There's so much content on there. Some you'll like, some you don't. But then again, we try and make sure that we give you as much to view as possible. We are certainly in Scotland out with some of the terrestrial television channels. Well, one terrestrial television channel and the Sky channel. PLZ Soccer is bringing you the football show 5 days a week. We'll also have the results show on the Saturday as well. So hopefully you can hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. We really do appreciate that. If you download the app, you get all the breaking news at your fingertips. There's pundits, there's opinion, it's uncensored, unbiased, unmatched, and it's absolutely free to watch. Thank you from Tam and from myself, Peter Martin, and from all the PLZ soccer staff tonight. Thank you for watching.